How's everyone doing today? Today we're going to be going over the Red Hat System Administrator course. All right, so we're going to be doing it in smaller chunks so I can focus on each little objective. This would be the best benefit for everyone. So let's get started. This would be a playlist in order on my YouTube. Also on my TikTok and my other platforms, you'll be able to access the same type of videos. These are all the objectives for the Red Hat test. Today, we're going to be talking about this objective, and we're going to be talking of some of the things that will complete this objective. So we're going to go over these two for today. The first thing, to access the shell prompt and to issue commands with the correct syntax. We can talk about that in a second. The main thing is that you go to the search bar on the top right, type in terminal. You could also use Control-Alt-T or capital T to open up a terminal. All right, the next thing we're going to be talking about is input-output redirection. All right, and those are the symbols usually associated with it. So redirection, I'm going to be very simple. That way I don't have to go over every single slide. Redirection in Linux refers to the process of changing the input or output of a command from the default source or destination to another source or destination. To make it simple is that when you run the command, instead of printing it to the screen, you might want it to be sent to a file. That way you can review it later, or to a different process to do whatever it needs to do with it. The main three things we're going to be talking about of redirection, we're going to be talking about standard input, output, and standard error. There's some more stuff here, but I don't want to get too complicated, so we'll just talk about redirection, and if I need a longer video, I'll add the part 2 to it. All right, let's go to the terminal. So when we're talking about redirection, every single time you type in a command here, like pwd, this will basically print to standard output. This is standard output, which is number 1. Number 1 should be standard output. Standard output is anything that's printed to the screen, okay? If I type in uptime, this will print to the screen. But let's say I don't want it to print to the screen, right? I can just do pwd, and then what I could do is I can redirect this to a file called file1.txt. And the way it works is if this file doesn't exist, it will dynamically create an empty file for you and then add the output of this command, which is this, into this file. All right, and if I do that, as you see, you don't see anything. Why? Because 1 is standard output. Instead of printing it to the screen like it did up here, it's printing it to something called file1.txt. If I use the cat command, so this command, what it does, it looks inside of the file. So instead of opening up Notepad or Windows Word and opening up a text file, this doesn't need a text editor. This just prints whatever's inside the file without opening up a text editor or anything like that. So if I do cat on file1.txt, as you can see here, you're able to see what's inside there. Why? Because this output that was here, number 1, we redirected the standard output to file1.txt. Okay? All right, and to make it a little bit more simpler, when you use this one command here, right, or if we use this greater than sign, it overwrites the file, right? So if I did this, if I did ls, not ls, but cat on file1.txt, as you can see here, it overwrites the file. But you don't notice it because, that was the same output from last time. If I do this, it will basically append to the end of the line. Now, if I do that again, it will append, and you should see it 3 times, right? Because the double greater than just appends to the end of the line. But if I use only 1, and I try it again, as you can see here, now it only shows you 1. Why? Because it overwritten the file, and that's what that does. All right, so 0, we don't need to talk about that. That's like your keyboard and stuff, like things that are going into your terminal. So like that's your input device. So the next one is error. So if you do pwd and I try to give it some weird like options, right? It will say bad option J. Okay. If I want to redirect that, right, to the file 1.txt, it won't work because 1 is standard output, right? This counts as standard error. So when it's an error, it's a separate stream, right? But it still prints, they all print to the same area. Standard output and standard error print to the same area, which is here. Obviously standard output, standard error prints to the standard output, right? Or to here. So when I do this, it still prints it. Why? Because this does not count as standard output. But if I put number 2, now it redirected. Why? Because number 2 is the standard error. Now if I cat it, as you can see now I caught that error. That error, I caught it, it's in my log now. Okay? So 1 is standard output, 2 is standard error. This small one is it overwrites the file, and this 2 appends to the end of the line. That's what these 3 of them do. The next one is called the pipe character. Okay? And what that does is actually pretty interesting. So what it does, it grabs the output of one command. So for example here, and it sends it to another command or another area. So example, let's say if I want to reverse the order of this. So let's do ls, right? Let's do ls. As you see, when I do this command, it prints all of this out, right? All of these things out, right? But let's say I want to filter it. I want to filter the output. You can use this. So what this does, it grabs the output of this command and it puts it into the next command. The next command I'm going to use is grep. And for this one, I'm going to use -i, and I want to look for something called file. So when I type this in, what it does, it grabs the output of this and it sends it to this command, this other program. And what this does, it uses the -i flag. And what the -i flag does, it's case insensitive. So it doesn't matter if it's uppercase or lowercase, it looks for something called file. When I do it, 3 options pop up. If I did it without the I, you would just see 1 because that's the only thing that matches, okay? But the point being is that this is called the pipe character. And what this does, this uses the input from one command and it puts it into the other command. And this is how you filter stuff out. All right? So that's the main thing for redirection. So let's do something interesting. Let's do ls, right? And then I can send this one to a file called file1.txt. And then from here, what I could do is send this again to another file, 2.txt. So I have 2 copies, right? And if I do cat file1.txt, as you can see, I get that. And if I do file2, I get that. Because what I did, I basically sent the output for each one. So I sent the output from here to here, and then the output from here to here. And that's all I did. All right. And then I can also do this. I can also look inside the file, right? And then what I can do from here is that after I look inside of here, because you're looking inside the file, so cat, what it does, it prints it to the screen. And I can do that again. I can do grep, and the same thing. I can type in file, and it prints out whatever's in the file. So in a nutshell, that's what redirection is. Redirections basically send this stream somewhere else. The next thing we're going to talk about is file descriptors. I just want to cover it a little bit. That way it makes a little bit more sense. But that's pretty much it for this first part of the Red Hat System Administrator course. Please leave me a comment. Please send me a message if you don't understand this, or I can make the video more understandable, or if I miss something, please let me know. I want to make these as easy as I can for you guys, and I will leave notes in my description to try to explain anything that I've missed or to make things easier for you guys. Thank you guys for watching, and I look forward to seeing you guys for the rest of the series.